Welcome, I'm Seema from Edufinite. I apologize for being a week late in posting this video. Today, I will be explaining all about modal verbs. It is very important to understand how and where to use them as they are abundantly used in English language. Please watch this video till the end to have a clear understanding of the topic. This Tuesday, I will be posting a video on grammar quiz based on modal verbs. You can check on it. And if you have any query, you can ask me in the comment section. Let us delve into the topic. Now, what is a modal verb? Well, a modal verb is a type of auxiliary or helping verb that is placed before the main or action verb in a sentence. That means the verb that tells us about the action that is being performed in the sentence. So before that particular verb, this modal verb will be placed. Now, what are they used for? They are used to express certain functions or different modalities. These functions are also called modalities, like ability or inability, advice, certainty or lack of necessity, permission, possibility or impossibility, probability, prohibition, and obligation. Like these type of, I shouldn't say and, like there are many more. I've given you just a few of them so that you can understand. Well, now let's look into one example before delving deep into it so that you just have a glimpse of what it is all about. Now, in this sentence, Mira swims every day. What do we have? We have the action verb swims. And who is swimming? Mira. What is she doing? She is swimming every day. So this is a factual statement. Now, if we say it, Mira can swim every day. So what is this word can telling us about? It is expressing the ability of Mira that she can swim. She is able to swim. So this small word can is a modal verb. And what is it doing? It is expressing what? Ability. That means Mira can perform that action of swimming. Okay? So she can perform that action. She is able to do that. Okay. Now, before we proceed further, just note one point. Modal verbs are also called, they are also known as modals. We can call them modals or modal auxiliary verbs or modal auxiliaries. So these are the various names by which we call the modal verb. Now, let's look a little deeper. Let's look into their names. What are the modals? Now, the modal verbs are can or could, may or might, must, shall or should, will or would. Now, these are the modal verbs. Now, there are certain modal phrases. Now, what are these modal phrases? Why do we call them modal phrases? They are also called semi-modals. And what is their formation? Their formation is auxiliary verb plus preposition to. That means auxiliary verb plus to. To is the preposition. And they are as, be able to, have to, ought to, and so on. So these phrases are called modal phrases because they express the modality similar to that of modal verbs. So we call them modal phrases. Now, before delving into their modalities, let us look into the characteristics of the modal verbs. Well, the characteristics of modal verbs. Some of the characteristics of modal verbs are, the first important point is, they never change their form. We have seen in case of action verbs, they have a different form for third person singular. Suppose generally we say, suppose it's plural, third person plural, they play cricket. But when we say he, singular, third person singular, he or she, whatever, he, she or it plays cricket. So an S is added at the end of the verb, and that's how we express it. But modal verbs never change their form ever. So, do not end with S when used with third person singular noun or pronoun he, she, it. For example, Sheena, we can use the name noun, or instead of Sheena, we can use the pronoun she. So it's Sheena goes to the market. This we know. Now, if you have any doubt regarding this form, so you can go through my videos on tenses, or there is another one on subject-verb agreement, which will give you a clear understanding of which verb goes with which subject. Okay, now we know that in present tense, when it's third person singular, as here is the example, Sheena goes to the market or she goes to the market. We add an S, or here it's go, so we add an ES to it to make it compatible with the subject. Now, in case of modal verb, we can never say Sheena or she may goes to the market. That is wrong. Again, we will not be able to say Sheena or she mays go to the market. That is also wrong. Well, the correct form is Sheena may go to the market or she may go to the market. So there is no S ending, whether it's the modal verb or whether it's the action verb after it. Hope it's clear. Well, the next one is, do not have an ed form to represent past tense. So, when we are referring to something done in the past, as in case of regular verbs, the second form of the verb is ed. That means play becomes played. He plays cricket, that's present tense, and he played cricket, that is past tense. Well, modals do not follow this either. Though some modal verbs appear to have past forms, like could, for can we say could, or might, may, might, should, shall, should, would, will, would, but they are not usually used to represent past tense. The exceptions are could and would, of course, that will come to it a little later. The exceptions are could, which is used as a past form of can when ability is needed to be expressed. So the exception over here is could and would, which we use to represent the past form. Other than that, we have to use the formation, the modal verb plus have plus the past participle of the verb. That's how the reference to the past tense is done in most of the cases, which we'll see later on. Well, now let's look into an example to understand it. Now, we will never say Raj can't sprint fast when he was a teenager. We cannot use ed over here. We cannot say Raj can't. Can never be added with an ed. Instead, we have to say Raj could sprint fast when he was a teenager. That means it is expressing the ability to sprint. So he could sprint when he was a teenager. So that's reference to the past. Well, next is would, as I was telling. And would, which is used as a past form to show willingness or habits in the past. For example, Raj's parents wouldn't allow him to attend late night parties. So that's how it is. The next one, when we were children, we would visit our grandmother every year. So a grandmother, maybe she lived in a remote village. So every year when our classes were over, when the year came to an end, during that holidays, we used to pay a visit to our grandma. So that's how the sentences would and could are written with the help of would and could modal verbs when we refer to the past tense. Otherwise, we have to use the form as I told you, the modal plus have plus the past participle of the verb when we are referring to the past. Well, now let's move on to the next form which is never changed. And that is, they do not have ing form. That means Roma can dancing well. We can never say that. It has no ing form. No ing verb is attached to it. For example, he is playing cricket. We say it that way. But we cannot say Roma or Roma is dancing well. We can say it that way. But we cannot say Roma can dancing well. What do we say? Roma can dance well. We'll have to remove that ing from it. Next is, they are followed by bare infinitive. That is the base form of the verb without the to. Infinitive is what? To plus the base verb. That's the infinitive. So there'll be no to. It will be only the base verb, as we are always saying. See, dance. We cannot say Roma can to dance well. We cannot say that. For example, may I to drink water? So we cannot say that. We have to say may I drink water. There'll be no to. So there'll be no infinitives. It's only the bare infinitive that we use after the modal verb. We cannot say you can to go home now. We have to say you can go home now. So bare infinitive. We cannot use infinitive. To will not be there when we are using the modal verb. So these are the points that you'll have to remember. There is another point. They make questions in negative form without adding do or did. So just as in auxiliary verbs, if we say she is playing, if we turn that into an interrogative sentence, we'll say is she playing? So the auxiliary comes first. So here, since this is also a form, modals are also a form of auxiliary verb. So here also we'll follow the same procedure. For example, do I drink water? We'll never say that. May I drink water? When we are formally taking the permission, maybe we are asking a teacher or someone elder to us, then what do we say? May I drink water? Again, when we refer to something negative, then we do not say, you do not go home now. What do we say? You cannot go home now, or you may not go home now. Well, I must not be late for school. So this is how we use the modal verbs. Here, what do we see? That after the modal verb, the not, the negative element is included. Then we use the base form of the verb. Now, let's look into the modalities of the modal verbs. Now, the uses of modal verbs. Let's first look into can or able to. This modal verb is used to express the following. So, what are the modalities? Ability or inability. Ability, like we can say, my brother can speak English. So, he has the ability to speak English. Inability, but cannot speak French. So, he is unable to speak French. We can also say they are able to solve the complicated maths problem, or they can solve the complicated maths problem and they are able to solve complicated maths problem. Next, if we want to request, can I borrow your pen please? So suppose I don't have a pen and I have to write something and I see someone has a pen in his pocket or in her hand or something. So just a simple request, can I borrow your pen please? Well, next, possibility or impossibility. Chewing tobacco can cause cancer. So there is a possibility that if you chew tobacco, or as the saying goes, smoking can cause cancer. So if you do these things, this may lead to cancer. It's not that if you chew or if you smoke, it will lead. But we are saying there is a possibility. It may lead. Next, impossibility. I cannot go out now. So if someone has come, please come with me. I'd like to go there. So maybe I'm tied up with some work or something. Then I just excuse myself and I say, I'm so sorry, I cannot go out now. Next, offers. Suppose someone is carrying something heavy. We see, suppose my mother or someone elderly is carrying something heavy and we are feeling bad. So what do? We offer to help. How do we say? Can I carry the heavy bag for you? This is when we are trying to offer our help to them. Again, we can say it in the other way. Suppose it's raining, a friend has come to your place and then maybe he or she, whoever has come, your friend hasn't any umbrella or something. Now she has to leave or he has to leave. then you can just say, I can lend you my umbrella for today because maybe you'll need it tomorrow if it rains. So maybe you'll meet up in your school or college, and then the next day you're asking her to return the umbrella. So you can just say, I can lend you my umbrella for today. Next, permissions. Now this is in an informal way when you ask for permissions. Can you help me with my work? Suppose you've got a lot of work to do and you're asking your sister to help you or your brother to help you. So you can just, it's an informal way. When you ask someone, in a very informal, you cannot ask your parents or your teachers, can you help me? You cannot do that. That's not a proper way. So in an informal way, when you're asking your friends or your siblings, can you help me with my work? And in reply, yes, I can help you. Next, we move on to the next one. Well, that's could or be able to. Now, this modal verb is used to express the following. Now, the modalities are ability in the past or inability. So, something that in the past one was able to do it. For example, Harry could run fast when he was younger. So now Harry, maybe he's grown old or maybe he's much advanced in age and his running pace is not as fast as it used to be. So how do we say that? Harry could run fast when he was younger. Next, inability. They weren't able to solve the maths problem. So maybe it was very critical. They tried their level best, but they weren't able to solve the maths problem. So that's how we use able to. Next, request. When we are making a request, we can say, could you read it a bit slowly, please? Maybe the person has asked you to follow, but the person is reading in a little fast pace and you are unable to follow it. So you're requesting that person, could you read it a bit slowly, please? Well, next is possibility, probability, or improbability in the present. So you see, we use could also for past as well as for present. We could go out for the movie now, or we could watch it at home later. So this is the possibility. We can go out now, or if we do not go out now, we could watch it later at home. The next is, we could not decipher what was scribbled on the paper. So this is something impossibility, like we could not, it was impossible as something was scribbled in a piece of paper and maybe it was important, maybe someone had taken some note and scribbled it down in a piece of paper and then they were trying to study, or when they were trying to recollect what was scribbled on that paper, they were trying to see that no, it was not possible because it was scribbled so, close together, or maybe it was scribbled in such a hurried manner that they are not being able to decipher it anymore. If you practiced more, you could do well in your exams. This is probability. What is the probability? Like if you practiced more, you could do well in your exams. Next, suggestion. We could try to solve the problem ourselves. Offer. I could lend you my laptop till tomorrow. Maybe you're trying to help someone, you can say, okay, today you can take my laptop and do in it whatever work has to be done. So you can take my laptop. I could lend you my laptop till tomorrow. I cannot lend it for the whole week or something because I'll be needing it myself. So till tomorrow, it's fine. You can take my laptop and do your work. Well, the next one is may and might. Well, this modal verb is used to express the following modalities. Permission in a formal way. Okay, when we are taking permission from some elders or maybe from the teachers, we say it this way. May I be excused from this meeting? We use the word may. Or might I be excused from this meeting? Next, possibility in the present and future. So in the present, we'll use we may be buying a new television. Possibility, which we are talking about now. Again, if we refer it to the future, we might be buying a new television next year. Now, this is less possible than may. So when we say we may buy a new television, since this is a possibility, we might buy, we might not buy, but there is a possibility. But when we say we might buy a new television next year, then this seems to be less possible than may. May means still there is, say, about 70% possibility, but if we say might, maybe it'll lessen down to 50, so something of that sort. Next, when we give some suggestions in a polite manner. May I help you to carry the luggage? Now, possibility in the past. He said he might have met Mr. Das last year in Delhi. So he is not sure whether he has met Mr. Das when he was in Delhi last year, but he is trying to recollect, and he's saying that he might have met. So that's very slight possibility. Well, the next one is must, and then we have to and has to. These are modal phrases. Well, this modal verb or these modal phrases are used to express the following modality. Prohibition. Here we use only mustn't. They mustn't interrupt when someone is speaking. So this is prohibition. That means you're not supposed to do this. When someone is speaking, you must not interrupt. You must wait till he completes it and then say whatever you have to say. So they mustn't, we are trying to tell some of the students maybe that they mustn't, we are discussing among ourselves. So those students, they are very unruly. When the teacher is trying to say something, they interrupt in the middle. So we are discussing they mustn't interrupt when someone is speaking. They must learn this, that when someone is speaking, they must not interrupt, they must wait. And when the person has completed whatever he or she wanted to say, then one should come forward and ask questions or maybe give his or her opinion. Next, command in a respectful way. You must complete your homework before you play video games. So, suppose the mother is telling her son or her daughter that you must complete your homework. So you have to or you must. You have to complete your homework before you play the video game. So before you start playing the video games, your homework needs to be completed. So this is how you say it. Well, next, conjecture with some certainty. It's already sunset. We must leave now. So maybe we are in some place where it's not very convenient to stay after sunset. So we are saying that it's already sunset. We must leave now. Or we can also say we have to leave now. Both mean almost the same. Sense of external obligation. All teachers must attend the council meeting. So it's compulsory for all the teachers to attend the council meeting. Or we can also say all teachers have to attend the council meeting. Like no one can skip it. Everyone has to attend it. Next. He must attend the meeting today. So we are talking about some person and we are saying that he must. That means it's compulsory for him to attend the meeting. Or we can also say he has to attend the meeting. Well, the next set of modal verbs. Shall. This modal verb is used to express the following modality. Suggestion. When we suggest something. Shall we distribute the packets? So maybe there are a lot of packets. Someone wants to distribute it maybe to the needy or maybe among the children. So someone is coming and offering to help or just suggesting that shall we distribute it for you? Like shall we distribute the packets that it's helpful for you? Instead of using will in the first person. So here we will not say will we distribute the packets to you. Why? Because we is first person. So in first person, usually we use the word shall instead of will. Offering help. Shall I help you with your homework? Again, it's shall I. So when we are offering help, like someone is doing maybe my small brother or my younger sister, she's doing some homework and she's having some trouble. She's not being able to understand. So then I offer her or him the help. Like, shall I help you with your homework? Next, formal or legal situations. The plaintiff shall be allowed to speak for himself. So, there's an announcement like now the plaintiff shall be allowed to speak for himself. Now, he can say whatever he has to say for himself. Well, the next one is sense of determination. When there is sense of determination, what do we say? We shall win the debate. That's again referring to the future tense. We shall, like maybe the debate is tomorrow or maybe day after, but we are speculating as a team that we shall win the debate. We are, being determined. We have to win it. That is, we shall win the debate. Now the next modal verb. Should or the modal phrase ought to. This modal verb or the modal phrase is used to express the following modalities. Advice. You can say you should help the poor, or you can also say you ought to help the poor. Next, suggestion. You should exercise daily to stay fit. Maybe someone, whoever it is, we know exercising is very important these days. We have to keep our body fit. So we are giving the advice, you should exercise daily or regularly to stay fit. Or we can also say, you ought to exercise regularly or daily to stay fit. Next, when it's inference, you should have become a solicitor. Or we can also say, you ought to have become a solicitor. Next, logical conclusion. Rohan should be tired as he was lifting weight for the past hour. So we are, drawing logical conclusion that for the past hour, Rohan has been lifting up weights. So he must be tired. So Rohan should be tired as he has been lifting weight for the past hour. Or we can also say, Rohan ought to be tired as he has been lifting weight for the past hour. Well, the next one is will. This modal verb is used to express the following modalities: wish, request, demand, or order. Will you put off the television, please? Used with subject except I and we. We cannot use it when we are using first person. As you know, with first person, we use shall. So, will you put off the television, please? This is a request. I'm requesting someone. Maybe I'm concentrating on my work and someone, maybe my son or my husband or whoever, has put on the television and the noise is distracting me. So I'm just requesting them, will you put off the television, please? Okay, next. Promise or threat. Don't worry, I will help you with your homework. So I'm promising someone that don't worry, I'll help you with your homework. The next. Now this is a threat, so be careful. If you don't clear up the mess, I will not help you with your homework. So this is a threat. Maybe I was telling my son or my sibling that I'll help you with your homework. Don't worry, I will help you with your homework. But then I come and say, oh my God, the room is in a mess. No. I'm not going to help you. First you clear up the mess. So what do I say? I threaten that person. If you don't clear up the mess, I will not help you with your homework. Okay, next. Predictions or assumptions. Homi thinks it will rain in the evening. Sometimes we do that. We look into the sky and then see it's cloudy, it's very dark. We predict or we assume that it might rain. So Homi just went out maybe into the balcony and he had a look into the sky and it was overcast. It was, almost afternoon. So it was heavily overcast, I should say. So he was presuming or he was assuming that it's going to rain in the evening. So Homi thinks it will rain in the evening and he comes and tells that. Next, determination, that too for the future tense. We will pass the examination. We are determined that we will pass this time. Maybe something happened last time, we couldn't clear it. So this time we are determined we will pass the examination. Next, we also use will for future tense. Like something when we show determination. I will be visiting my grandma tomorrow evening. So that's I've already, made up my mind. I will do it, definitely. So, to emphasize, we use that word will with the first person. But usually we use shall. But when we show a sense of determination, we go the opposite. With first person, we use will. And with second and third person, for determination, we use shall. So, the next one. Would. Now, this modal verb is used to express the following modalities: wish, request, demand, or order. Would you put off the television, please? So maybe I'm working in my room and my husband or my son has put on the television. The sound of the television is tending to distract me a little. So I'm requesting them, would you put off the television, please? Next, permission. Would you mind if I borrow your book? So the book, maybe it's a storybook or something of my friend and I really liked it, so I asked permission from her. Would you mind if I borrow your book? Next, preference. what would you like to have, tea or coffee? So maybe I've invited someone and then I'm chatting with that person and then I try to know that person's preference. What would you like, tea or coffee? Next, when we refer to something in the past, so they promised that they would give a thought to it. So maybe I've given them some project and I want to know what they're thinking about it. So maybe right at the moment it's not possible for them to take any decision, and so they have promised me that they'll go through it and then give a thought to it. So that's all for today. Thank you for being there with me. If you like the content, do give a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Do subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell icon for future updates. Bye. Take care. See you in the next episode.